Hey everybody, this is Super Dave with Infotainment.com. Today we installed a full digital cluster in our 2019 Ram 2500. This will be available for 19 through 2024 Ram heavy-duty pickup trucks. You will need to upgrade your Uconnect 5 module if you are not a 2023 or newer. This is because the cluster will only read navigation data from a 2023 part number. We also have a harness that's included in this kit that allows the BCM to be thought to be 2023, so that way it also works, or else you would be looking at replacing your BCM. Really nice upgrade. As you can see, we've got the navigation on the cluster matching the screen there. If you'd like to see how we installed it, stick around and watch and see how we do it. So the first step for installing the full digital cluster in the heavy-duty Rams 19 through 24 is going to be removing the cluster shroud. It's just held with retention clips, so you just kind of feed along the top and then kind of go around the bottom a little, and it just comes right out here. So to pull the cluster out, there are two screws that are hidden behind this little panel and this panel. This one we can just pull right out. There's a little hook that goes up, so you just kind of pull from the bottom and it just slides right out just like that. To access the one around the push to start button, we do have to pull the radio first because it's tucked behind the radio itself, or at least the shroud to the radio. All right, so removing the radio shroud, there's a little cubby liner that you have to pop up. Just take that out, and there's going to be two Torx 20 screws on each side, one on the left and one on the right. And once those two screws are removed, you just grab the top of the whole panel here and just give it a yank. It's just being held by retention clips, so you just pull it forward, get it around the shifter, and then we have to disconnect the 12-volt outlet connector because that doesn't have any slack whatsoever. So the clip for the cigar lighter is on the right. It's a little tough to find, but you can kind of just get your finger on it and just give it a pinch, and it should just come out now. There we go. And we can set the display down carefully. Okay, so now it's to remove this little shroud piece here around the push to start button. So it's just retention clips, so you just give it a little tug. It should come right off just fine. And then we're just going to go ahead and unplug this for now. Set it aside, and then we're going to access that screw that we spoke about. It's a 7mm, just like the rest of the screws for this installation. So you won't have to go back to the Torx 20 until we go to put that display back on top. And we're going to access this screw on this side now and pull that one. And then we just pull this little trim up. Just a couple clips holding it in, so that way you get a little more angle there. And there's going to be two screws up at the top of the cluster that we're going to get, so that way we can fully pull it out. There we go. That's the first one, and the second one is just to the right of it. And then now we have the cluster free, so we're just going to pull it out and disconnect the harness from the back of it. So it's just a little push clip, and then you just tug it outwards. There we go, just like that. And there's our cluster free. So this is the harness that's going to go from the back of the radio module with this connector to the cluster with the new conversion plug. And this is the pass-through where the old cluster connector goes into. This is so the radio sends data to the cluster for the navigation. So this must be installed if you want to have navigation on the cluster. Now, another thing to point out is that in order to have navigation on the cluster, the radio module must be a 2023 part number minimum. So if you do not have a 2023 or newer Ram truck, then you will need to replace your radio module with a 2023 part number. We do offer replacements in this occasion if you wanted to have navigation on the cluster and you are not a 2023 or 2024. All right, time to pull the radio module. It's just 4 7mm screws. And we don't necessarily need to unplug anything from it. We just want to have it loose, so we can just plug that harness into the back of it. And I'm going to feed that harness through the cluster cavity now. All right, so this is the connector. So we're just going to go ahead and feed it behind the cluster cavity And you can kind of reach in here and grab it and just kind of continue it along. Now we've got a good amount of slack. We're just going to feed it right behind here, so we're behind where the radio mounts. And then right in that little rectangular connector at the bottom, the long one, it's just going to snap right into place. And then now we just tuck everything back in. That's all that was needed for the radio. Okay, so this harness is used to make the cluster think that the vehicle is a 2023. So that way the navigation will work so long as the radio module is a 2023 part number. This is going to go to the back of your screen, and this connector is going to be where the screen connector used to be, so it'll plug into here as a pass-through. Essentially, we need to get these little green and white connectors plugged into the star connection, which is just to the back of the headlight switch. And then there's two connectors we need to pull from those star connectors that'll go into here as pass-throughs as well. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to feed this harness into the footwell area. So we're going to go ahead and pull the knee bolster so we have a better view of where we're feeding these. But essentially, we're going to feed them behind the radio and down into the footwell. All right, time to pull the knee bolster. So there's a 7mm screw on each side here. So we're just going to get those taken off. That's all that's holding the knee bolster in place besides retention clips. So once you have these two screws removed, you can just get around it and just kind of pull from the top. And it just kind of comes down like that. All right, since we're already on this side anyway, let's go ahead and pull the headlamp switch assembly. This whole thing is held by retention clips, so it just pops out. Then we just go ahead and disconnect it. And then we're going to go ahead and pull this down. Just retention clips as well. And then the star IP connectors are right behind this headlight switch. It's the green row connector. There's the one with the black base in the front, and there's the one with the white base right behind it. We'll be going to both of those connectors with the harness. Okay, so we're going to take the screen connector part of the harness, and we're going to go ahead and feed it through this cavity here. Perfect. And that's as much as you need for the time, because we're more concentrated on these star connectors that we're going to be connecting next. Okay, so the first star connector we're going to be working with is the CAN C. That is the green with the black base. It's kind of on a little railing on the left, so we can slide it up and actually pull it so we can kind of get a better visual there. What we're looking for on here for our pass-through is a brown wire with a white stripe for one pin and yellow for the other. So you just kind of look at the connector until you find which one has that color scheme, and it looks like we found it. It's this one right here. So we're going to take our flathead screwdriver and just get in the wedge between the white and the green. The clip is right there. You just push and just give it a little twist. And the connector is pretty much free. At this point, you can kind of just pull it. So now it's removed. And we're going to add this to our pass-through for the CAN C connector. So the little modules on our harness are labeled. So this says DJ IPC C. That is for the CAN C. That is the connector we just pulled. So this one is going to go back into any cavity on this CAN C connector, and that one we pulled just needs to plug there. So we'll go ahead and start doing that. So any of the connectors is fine. Just got to make sure it's in the right orientation. All right, have that clicked into place, and we're going to take this one that we pulled and attach it to this one here. There we go. So the CAN C is connected now. We're just going to go ahead and put that back on the rail so it's out of the way. And then next we're going to go to the CAN IHS. All right, so CAN IHS is next. So we're going to get back behind here again and take the one that's behind the green or the black base off so we can get a better visual. I've got it off the rail. Just need to slide it forward. This one's a little tighter here, but here it is. All right, so the connector that we're going to remove for the pass-through on the CAN IHS is going to be a violet wire with a white stripe and a yellow with a blue. We can see a yellow-blue right here, but if you turn, it is the violet with white, so that is the one we're going to pull. So just like the other one, we're just gonna tilt it this way so that way we get to the clip. This one right here, we're just gonna get in there and just give it a little twist. Okay, there we go. And we have this one free. The purple wire with the white stripe and the yellow with the dark blue stripe. And we're just gonna go ahead and get that wire plugged into the pass-through for the CAN IHS. All right, now that's clicked in. And then the male that's on the harness for CAN IHS, we're just gonna clip it into any spot available. This one's vacant, the one we just pulled, so we're just gonna go ahead and just get that clipped in there. There we go. Now we just need to get it tucked behind and put it back on the guardrail. There we go, and it's back in place. This is our security gateway bypass harness. Has connections for CAN-C and CAN IHS. We'll be just plugging those into any available cavity, so you may not need to take it off the guardrails for that. You just kind of feed it in and clip it. The importance about this is it's not just for running the OBD Genie. This actually has to stay in the vehicle in order for the mapping to work properly on the cluster. So you can just tuck it up under the knee bolster anytime you need to access the OBD2 port, but this will have to stay in the car. Unlike our other upgrades that's just for using OBD Genies, this actually has to live in the car from this point forward if you want to use the nav on the cluster. All right, so first I'm gonna do the CAN-C. It really doesn't matter what order you do, but the CAN-C was the one in the front. So there's the first one for CAN-C. All right, so we're gonna plug in the CAN IHS connector. It's gonna be in this orientation when you go to plug it in, but if you need to take it off the guardrail in order to get a better view, then go ahead and do so. I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the video here. So we're gonna just pop it off, plug this in, just like that. And then go ahead and put it back on the guardrail. There we go, and it's in place. All right, we're gonna put the knee bolster back on. So you just line up those alignment pins on each side, line up the clips, give it a good snap on both sides, and then we go ahead and reattach the screws, 7 millimeters. And then we're gonna take the security gateway bypass and connect the female end to your OBD2 port, which is right over here. This will be your OBD2 port moving forward, but you can just kind of tuck it on top and behind the panel so it doesn't fall out anywhere. All right, so grab that headlight power connector. We're gonna go ahead and put this little panel back on. And then just snap it all into place here. And finally, we're ready to put in the cluster itself. So we're gonna go ahead and take the original cluster connector and we're gonna attach it to our pass-through. Click that into place. And this is the new connector for the cluster. So we're gonna go ahead and cluster around. It's one of these clip connections, so just line it up. There we go, and just give it a little push. And then the clip should lock it into place. And we're going to set it in, make sure all that wiring's tucked behind so it's out of the way. So there's 2 top screws. Essentially this little felt liner, you might want to peel it back so that way you can see the screw cavity, make sure you're fully lined up, and then set it down and push it back in, which we just did. So we're gonna go ahead and just start screwing in these 7 millimeter screws on each side. So these bottom screws, just had to do that for a quick second. Make sure the clips are snapped in on both sides. All right, now to reattach the push to start button, go ahead and just tuck it back and clip it into place. All right, and this one has a little hook going upwards, so we're just gonna feed it up and then click it into place. Now the shroud, which we just kind of feed in, line up with the top. All All right, so here's the pass-through for the screen. We're going to go ahead and just disconnect the current connector from the screen, plug it into the pass-through, and then we're going to lift the screen as we plug this in. So now that's snapped into place. I'm going to get the radio bezel back up and plug this cigar lighter connector back in, which the longer side is on the left, so you can kind of feel it. There you go, clicked into place. And then the two T20 screws we're going to put in next to get this all set up. All right, everybody, the last step to the digital cluster upgrade is running the OBD Genie programmer. So we're going to go ahead and put the vehicle in the accessory position, and then we're going to pull the harness from the security gateway bypass that we installed and just kind of flip it down so we can plug the Genie into it. Just going to plug it in and wait for that green light. All right, now that it's gone green, we're now programmed. Go ahead and remove the Genie and tuck that back up so it's out of the way. And then let's get this started up and check out the new cluster. All right, now that we have the cluster installed and programmed with our Uconnect 5 system, we can use the arrow keys to move around on the display. This is the map screen. It just takes a second to load, and it matches where we are on the map on the radio screen. So you can see we're right off of Lloyd Lane. To access other menus, you can still continue to use the arrow keys for up and down, and of course your left and right. 2023 Ram trucks have an OK and a cancel button. For those that are 19 through 22, your steering wheel will likely not have a cancel or OK button. However, we have mapped the buttons to your VR and phone call button. So your VR button will be your back, which will take us to this widget screen where you can kind of change what you want on the cluster, and then you can use the phone button to click OK to go to that option. And there you have it, a gorgeous full digital cluster in the heavy-duty Ram trucks.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that upgrade just as much as we enjoyed developing it. We were here established in 2008, and we've been helping over 100,000 customers do upgrades to their vehicle. So we carry this upgrade and so much more on our website, Infotainment.com. We service what we sell. We have a whole staff that services parts all day long. We also have in-house advisors that can advise you and help you from start to finish. We also have a compatibility guarantee. As I mentioned in the video, we will get your 17-digit VIN number to ensure that everything is programmed to the modules for a seamless installation in your exact vehicle. We also have extended warranties for those of you who would like to take advantage of that. Those of you who pulled out your old gear and you don't want it just to sit in your garage forever, we actually offer trade-in value to your old gear. So be sure to go to our website for more information on that. Last but not least, if you have a request for your vehicle, you want a factory OEM upgrade for your vehicle and you don't see it on our website, we have a product request form that our research and development department looks at every single day. So request that product and we'll get back with you with a possible solution. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and have a great day.